Few at the time took seriously the National Socialistic German Workers' Party, a small political party's 25-point manifesto issued in 1920. That party, known as the Nazi Party, took control of Germany in 1933 by a narrow margin from the Weimar government, primarily based on the promises to improve the economy and reduce unemployment. Then, with its leader Adolf Hitler being offered the Chancellor's position, it intended to implement their manifesto and deal with the issues previously mentioned and retrieve parts of Germany lost after World War I. Thus the Brinckmanns and the Theodors feared possible consequences. I mention only those points that directly affect them, such as no Jew may be a citizen and special laws for all foreigners. Non-Germans arriving after 1914 must leave the country. If the proclamation extended to siblings of Jews, there were rumors to that effect, then Theodor was at risk, having had to leave South Africa because her husband was German, now possibly having to leave Germany because she was considered a Jew, and arriving in Germany after 1914. Where to next? There were immediate consequences such as racism and anti-Semitism that were taught in schools. Falsehoods and lies were spread about Jews, other Europeans, Asians, and Africans. Curriculum altered to fit Nazi thinking. Jews were attacked at Dresden, April 5, 1933. Jews were physically humiliated, Jewish shops were boycotted, and synagogues were destroyed. Jews could not swim in public swimming pools, Jews not welcome, signs, and doctors and dentists of Jewish descendants were harassed and lost their patients. History being repeated, as this was no different to what had happened before to Jews in Europe as a whole. However, the European assimilated Jew realized that they were also under threat, unjustifiably in their minds, particularly in Germany, but not exclusively, as they saw themselves as a different class to the Jews from the East, having over generations integrated into the environment. Furthermore, similar to the divisions in the Christian faith, Eastern Jews followed a more conservative sect. Thus there was conflict among themselves, as evidenced in Danzig. It is worth noting that camps were established housing more than 5,000 inmates, predominantly with left-wing views and communists. The camps were considered as concentration camps, the term having been created by the British in South Africa, where they interned the Boers and the blacks. Most of them were released by the Christmas amnesty in 1933. In the midst of the Great Depression and Germany's despair, the Theodors retired to a retirement home, Haus Schönau, and the Brinckmanns left 87 Schulenbergring when Hugo and Thea divorced, 17th of January 1934, thereby preempting what was about to become law. Hugo went to Pankow, northeastern district of Berlin, where Margie Seeger stayed, while Thea stayed with various friends. Adolf Theodor, a disillusioned and broken man, died on the 24th of September 1934, with no idea of what was to come. It was about this time, summer 1934, that Inga and Hein started courting. Both appreciated art and literature. They both adored classical music and enjoyed outdoor activities such as swimming, rowing, sailing, and skiing. She smoked cigarettes and he smoked pipe. Inga remained in contact with her school friends Helena Metzger, Gabi Grice, Lucy, Danielle Peters, Erwin Kruger, and Walter Bachmann. They appreciated the engineering feat of the Fino Canal, a major technological achievement 50 kilometers long, built in 1906, with improvements in 1914, which connects the Oder and the Havel rivers with a boat lift. Although Inga did not have Hein's views about the damage religion had done, they married with no church service on the 19th of March 1935. Inga aged 22 and Hein had just turned 30. Inga's friends enjoyed the special occasion. Inga and Hein, later in life, would have related too, as this song's theme is, I still have a suitcase in Berlin. Nostalgia drives me back there.
Ich hab so Heimweh nach dem Kurfürstendamm. Berliner Tempo, Betrieb und Tamtam. Hätt ich ne neue Wohnung und wär sie noch so nah. Ich bleib Berlin, meiner alten Liebe treu.
On the 21st of September that year, Jutta was born. Hugo, Hein, Margie, Maria, Käthe, Thea, and Inga were besotted with the arrival of the baby girl. The latter three and baby Jutta made up for female generations. Inga and Hein, using a remembrance book of the lives of our children, both set about in detail, entering Jutta's physiology, actions, and presents that Jutta was given. But that joy was tempered, as a few days prior, on September the 15th, 1935, the law for the protection of German blood and honor was passed, preventing sexual relations and marriages between Aryans and Jews. At the same time, the Reich Citizen Law was passed and was reinforced in November by a decree stating that all Jews, even quarter and half Jews, were no longer citizens, Reichsbürger, of their own country. For generations, Aryans and Jews had married each other. This caused many families to hide their ancestry, especially those in the Nazi Party. Thea was now at risk of being considered a Jew, as she had at least two grandparents that were Jewish, and Hugo had thus been married to a Jew. Inga and Hein were also at risk, Inga having one Jewish grandparent. Hein was issued an employment book, Arbeitsbuch, in July 1937, after he had been unemployed since February of that year. This book was updated with previous employment details, and from there on it was filled in until 1944. Only after he was issued the book was he employed until November 1943 by a precision machining company called Diplom Engineer Walter Coitus. One can only surmise that Hein could only hold a job where there were no questions asked about Jewish connections. Similarly, he, like many Germans, bear in mind that most Danzigers considered themselves Germans, wanted to join the Nazi Party and have access to employment opportunities. And many people not affiliated to the Nazi Party were taken to work concentration camps, and promises to deal with the Polish corridor issue and Danzig status, but he hesitated because of his marriage to Inga. Hein and Inga moved into a housing complex earmarked for artists on the ground floor apartment 32 Kreuznacher Straße near Breitenbachplatz in the Wilmersdorf district, where they stayed until they left Germany some 13 years later.